Merry Christmas, everyone. Welcome to Life Stories. I don't know that anyone will actually listen to this on Christmas Day. I hope that you are spending time with your family, that you are enjoying the quiet, and if you have littles, it's probably not quiet. Our kids are grown, so our Christmases have gotten quieter and quieter each year. But I hope you're enjoying and celebrating this day. But when you do listen, I hope you did have a Merry Christmas. Today is a very special episode to me. They've all been wonderful. They've all been exciting. I've been thankful for every single one that I've done. But this one is special because my guest is special to me. If I'm going to be totally honest and show my age, I actually babysat my next guest many years ago. She is now a beautiful wife and mother, and she shares her story of infertility and adoption. And as I told her in the podcast, I didn't know her whole story. I knew an overview of what had happened to her, but I didn't know the whole story, and so I was very excited to hear it from her. This week's word of the week
It's the word of the week.
Is redemption. Jenna mentions redemption a lot in her story. The journey that she went through with infertility and the heartache and all the things that she went through, which was a lot, was redeemed as she was able to adopt this precious baby boy. And I love redemption. I love the idea of redemption because I know that as a Christian, because I've chosen Jesus to be my Lord and Savior, my life was redeemed because he gave up his life for mine on the cross. And he did that for you too. He didn't just do that for certain people. He did it for everyone. There's a scripture in the Bible, John 3:16. It says that God so loved the world that he gave his only son for everyone. He gave his only son for everyone, that whosoever believed in him would not perish but have everlasting life. And that isn't for certain people. That's not for the good people. That's not for the people that do certain things or don't do certain things. He did that for everybody. And so your life can be redeemed by his if you choose to give your life to him. I love Jenna's story. I love her precious heart because she's honest and she's raw and she's real about the journey that she was on. And I'm so thankful that she shared it. And I hope that you will listen. If you know someone that is going through what she's been through, I encourage you to share this with them because your story can be beautiful. Your story may not work out the way you want it to. I mean, I don't know anybody on this planet whose life has turned out exactly the way they planned. I don't think anybody's has. But there are things that we can learn in the process, and our story can be beautiful too. So thank you for listening. I hope you have a great day. Hello.
Hey, are you there?
I am. How are you?
Well, I'm really hoping that this is going to be audio only.
Yeah.
I planned to get up early this morning and have a minute to get ready and do all the things. And guess who woke up at 5 a.m.?
Of course. That's how it works.
Of course.
So now you're doing the mom thing.
I am full time.
Oh, are you full time now?
I am.
That is awesome. So you stay busy.
Yes.
It's a different kind of busy than being at work.
It is a different kind of busy.
But it is
busy. It is. It's wonderful. I love it.
Yes.
I wouldn't trade it for anything. I'm so thankful that it was even an option for us. I do miss work a little bit. I have only ever known that for 20 years. So, and I absolutely loved my job. So it was a very big decision because I loved it so much and I had a really great spot. And there's only one role like that on the campus. And so I knew when I stepped out that was a pretty big decision. But it's been wonderful.
Yes. So you have quite a story. And I know, like I told you, I know the overview. I know that you, for a long time, wanted to have a baby for years and years. And I don't know what all you went through to get to the point of deciding to adopt. I just kind of know the great story. I know that it happened. So I want to hear it all from you. You know, I was thinking the last time I saw you, I think it was when I was at the conference and I texted you and you came. That was a long time ago. I mean, that was a good 10 years probably. And you were kind of in the middle of that then. I remember
So it's been a little bit. So I want to hear the whole story from you. I want to hear everything.
Okay. Well, it's a long story.
Yeah.
So we will hit the highlights
Yes.
because there are so many pieces within the story that could be a podcast of their own, most likely.
Right.
So let's start. So I married my high school sweetheart. Well, if we're getting technical, we were going together. Remember those terms?
Yes.
In sixth grade. And then we got back together as juniors in high school and then got married as sophomores in college at the ripe old age of 19.
And that was older than me.
So yes, it is.
Yes.
I would not change it. It is our story and it was what it was meant to be, but I also don't recommend it to just anybody.
Yes.
But so we got married and everybody told us, do not get pregnant this young, do not have a baby, finish your school. And so we listened. So anyway, we fast forward, we started careers and then opened a business. And so that took all of our time and energy and we needed to get that up and going. We ended up selling that. And so that delayed things even further because we were getting back into another career in a new place. I went back to teaching, but then I had some things going on. I believe I had a cyst rupture. And so they found out that I needed surgery. And they found endometriosis. This was at age 32, endometriosis at the time. And the doctor said, it was a specialist, of course. And he said, if you are planning to have a baby, now would be a really good time to try. And so we got pregnant right away and miscarried right away. And then when I visited my regular doctor a year later, we realized that there was some cause for concern. And then began the journey of fertility, which again could be its own thing, because that was a 10-year journey for us. It doesn't have to be that long.
So from the time y'all were starting to try to have a baby until this point, it was 10 years?
Yes. Well, I say 10-year fertility journey. We actually probably stopped that 7 years or so from the time from that age until we have our precious baby boy was actually about 9 years. So 9 to 10 years. So the whole journey was that long, but the fertility part and treatments and all of that roller coaster was probably 7 years. And that was because we took it slow because it was just a roller coaster of emotion and grief and hope and shattered dreams. And you just, with every treatment, it's just a lot on your body as well. And so, and it was hard on us as a couple. Do we push forward to the next treatment? Because there's always another little something you can do. Well, if we just change this medicine or that medicine. So anyway, it was hard on us and we each dealt with it differently. And it was a kind of a period in my life where I was probably at my lowest emotionally. It was just very, very hard. And it was a very quiet grief. It's not anything anybody can see, but it's just something that you're just dealing with all the time because you're, what is our next decision? What is our next step? Are we going to take a next step? So that was really, really hard. Fast forward to the end of that journey, we did extensive testing and just decided that it was just time to stop all of that. We had 5 miscarriages. We had done 5 treatments, not correlated, but happened to be the same number. And we just both had a piece about just stopping all of that and just trusting the Lord. Okay, so what is next? If this is what we had been praying for and hoping for, what do you have in store for us? So we needed to both heal from that, and our marriage needed some attention. And so we began to find hobbies that we could do together. So we began mountain biking together and going out and disc golfing and just getting outside. And we were kind of living the life like we had kids, like not going out, not really traveling, because all of our friends had kids.
Right.
And our siblings had little kids. And so we were kind of living that life, and we realized, you know what, we are not bound. We do not know.
Right.
What season are we in? What are we doing? So we began to do our own thing, and ended up like just being really, really content and having a really great time. And so for a few years we did that. We ended up joining a group that was very, very good for us, very healing. We, of course, dug our heels in. We're not going to go to this group. It was a group for people going through the same struggles that we were going through, but we were good at the time. We were not going because we did not want to reopen that.
Right.
And we did go, and it was amazing. And the leaders of that group are some friends of ours now, and we've kept up with several people in that group. But the growing our family was just a door that the Lord just would not let us close. I went on to get my master's, and it was actually during my master's that I felt so strongly it's time. And I thought, I'm in the middle of a master's. I do not have time for this. But to start with where the love for adoption came, that was something that we always had thought of and loved the idea of. We don't really have a lot of that in our circles. Right. But we always were interested in that. We always sponsored the child, that we're right. Pay the money, sponsor the child, but we never had the child. We just sponsored. And so we just had a heart for that.
Yeah.
But we also knew that we could not do both roads at the same time. So we thought, we will, because time is of the essence when you're already starting the journey at 32. We thought we need to go ahead and do that first and have a child biologically, and then we will pursue adoption.
Yeah.
But plan A obviously did not go as we had planned, and it became an even more beautiful plan than I could have ever written for myself. Now it all makes sense. But at the time it was hard. So anyway, so back to adoption. So it was just so heavy on my heart. I was waking up in the night, and I just knew it's time. The Lord just said, it is time. So I was on a walk one evening with Jonathan, and I said, okay, there's something that I need to tell you. And he was like, oh gosh, what do you need to tell me? I said, I've really been thinking about praying about adoption. And he said, you know what? Me too. Mm-hmm. And so the Lord had been working on his heart just as much. He just had not said anything just yet. And so we said, okay, let's do it. So we did. And when we decided yes, there was instant peace, and every step forward was just wrapped in peace. And I cannot say the same for us, for our story, for fertility treatments. It was a completely different story. Both hard. The adoption journey is not easy.
Right.
So
I'm sure.
I don't want to minimize that at all, but it was just wrapped in peace.
Yeah.
And we took every step together. And when we decided yes, the thought of, okay, now where do we begin with this, was quite overwhelming. But all of that was already in place. Yeah. I was already following the adoption consultant that we used on Instagram, and had been for a while.
Oh, wow.
We were already connected with a circle of people in the adoption realm. So it was just like the pieces just fell into place at that time. Now, once we started the paperwork and the process, there's definitely a roller coaster of emotions, because there's there's the not yets that you get until you match, and those are hard to understand until it does make sense. Those are hard to understand.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But now we have a beautiful, precious baby boy that I could not love anymore, and I don't know if I'll say I'll go through the whole journey again. I wouldn't wish it on anybody. but my journey makes sense now, and it feels, it has been redeemed.
Yes.
And our deepest pain has turned into our greatest joy.
That's wonderful. So did y'all know about Jude before he was born? Like
We did
or
not.
you did not? Okay.
We
So it
did
was
not.
after.
So we were, the way that it works is that you see profiles and cases, and then when you want to present when you want to present your profile to the expecting mom,
Mhm.
you are already a yes when you present.
Right.
And then she chooses from those
Yeah.
yeses. So we had several not yets. And then every now and then there is a case where the baby has already been born. And we had only seen maybe one of those
Yeah.
in our time. And this one came up, and we obviously were a yes. As soon as we saw it, yes, we loved
Yeah.
yes. And so we, the funny thing is, I was at work in one of my busiest weeks of the year, because it's, the week that everybody starts coming back to work. So that is
Right.
a really busy week. But I had gone to the door to leave, and it was pouring down rain out of nowhere. And so I walked back in and opened my computer, and the case came up in email. And so I texted Jonathan, we responded right away. And then I went on about my business. I was supposed to do a presentation the next morning, like a professional development the next morning. So I went on working on that, and went on to my workout class. And it was in my workout class that my watch, I could see that the director of the agency was calling me.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I thought, oh my goodness, is this really happening? So I ran out of class and called her back and missed her. And then I came home, and it took probably 20 minutes, which was, I think, the longest 20 minutes ever,
Yes, I'm
for us to
sure.
finally get back in contact. And she told us that we were one of the top choices to go ahead and get things online just in case. And so we did.
Yeah.
And then we found out, she called us around midnight or so and said, you matched.
Oh my
Get here
gosh.
as soon as you can.
Oh
And
my goodness.
we did. We haven't slept since then, really.
Right. And you won't for another
And
18 years.
no, and my eyes are tired and my heart
Yeah.
is full, and
Oh,
I'll take
absolutely.
it.
Absolutely.
Yes. So anyway, we boarded the plane as soon as we possibly could the next morning and went to go get him. And it has been just amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Tell me about, because like you said, you weren't real familiar with the adoption process, and I'm not either. The only thing I know is from watching Friends. I don't, you know
Yes.
what I mean?
Yes.
I don't know anybody I know people that have been through it before I knew them, but I never walked with anybody going through it. So is there a time after you have this baby, you bring the baby home, is there a waiting period of when, I know the adoption wasn't final for a certain amount of time. Is it possible that something could happen where, and I'm just asking because I don't have a clue,
Sure.
where they decide, they change their mind, or is it,
There is a time period. It depends on which state, but nobody leaves the hospital until papers are signed.
okay.
So once papers are signed, and there's a waiting period. So it depends on which state you're in. It's 24 to 72 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And the birth mom cannot sign until that time period is up.
Okay. Just in
Mhm.
case. Yeah.
Yeah. So once she signs papers, then it's good. And then you go to court still. There, you still have
Right.
to have a time period, and then you go to court. But yes,
Yeah.
but it's done.
But it's done. Like,
Mhm.
I know, once you go to court, adoption is final. I just wondered about, because I've heard stories, but I don't know. I'm not familiar with it, that the
I
mom
think
changed her mind, or,
that does happen. Yes, that
yeah,
does happen. But it happens within the 24 to 72 hours. So
not
it's
after
called
that.
no, it's
Okay.
called a disrupted adoption.
Uh-huh.
And so the expecting mom makes an adoption plan and then may change her mind once the baby is born. And so that's considered a disrupted adoption because the adoptive parents are usually already at the hospital as well. So,
I'm thinking about anybody that would listen to this and would be maybe in the middle of your journey, like you were, of realizing there might be a problem. Why am I not getting pregnant? What is the deal? What would you tell somebody that was going through or is in the middle of it now, and maybe they haven't sought fertility treatment yet, but you had a very long journey of that. So what would you tell someone who's just kind of starting out on that?
every journey is unique for sure. And everybody deals with that journey uniquely.
Yeah.
So while it is wise to seek counsel of others, turn to your spouse and you guys decide together. Because you're going to hear every story under the sun in every possible way, and who got pregnant how, and so-and-so's granddaughter's niece's dog did, took this vitamin. You should also take this vitamin. You're gonna hear everything. And most people say things very well intending, but when some area of your life like that is so raw, they hurt. A lot of comments hurt. So just keep those in mind, and know that you're not alone when those things happen. So it is good to have people around you, but everybody deals with this type of thing very differently. So we didn't really share our journey when we were in it, not any part of it. We didn't share the fertility part, and then we didn't share the adoption part until it was done, and then we shouted it from the rooftops. But not because we didn't want anybody to know, but because we just needed to walk through it before we could answer anything. Honestly, everything hurt. People, not everything everybody said, that's not right, because we had some amazing people, but like I said, people mean to say kind things and comforting things, and it just isn't. So we just didn't share it. We locked it, and now we're here. But I also would say to go at the pace that you're comfortable with, that you and your spouse. So our journey was long because it took us that long to take the next step each time. There were some times where we needed to take a break, and sometimes when you're in the fertility journey, you get into it's almost like a snowball effect. Like if I just do this, and then I just do this, and you turn it gets very chaotic and fast paced. And at some point we just needed to take a pause and say, whoa, like what are we doing? Let's pray about this. We need to be intentional about our next steps and not just get into the logistics of what's next. So I also would say to if you're thinking about adoption is not a cure for infertility. We happened to have both journeys. I will say that because we didn't get pregnant, our hearts and our home were open at a different time than we thought they would be, and in a different way. But if you're going through fertility treatments and all of that, stop and heal from all of that before you start your adoption journey. One does not, both are ways to grow your family, but one is not necessarily a result of the other.
That's so wise. I can imagine, God, I believe God created us as women to be moms, to want to be moms, to have that desire inside of us. So I can imagine going through that journey, how just consumed you would be in all of it, in the hope. I can't imagine not being that way. You know what I mean? I'm sure. And so it's easy. Like you said, sometimes you got to take a pause. That makes sense, because I can imagine that's all that was on your mind. What is your favorite thing right now about the stage that you're in with your sweet little boy?
Everything.
Everything.
Yes. I'll take the tiny laundry that fills
Yes.
my laundry room. We don't have bottles anymore, but I just savored the moment washing bottles and getting up with him at night. Now let's just go ahead and put a pause right there because yes, I was tired.
Yes.
And yes, it is monotonous to wash those bottles one more time. Let's be
Yeah.
human.
Yeah.
But also it's an honor and it's a joy.
Yes.
And we waited for so long. And there's so many things when you're in that longing and in that grief that you wish for and hope for and long for the day that you get to take your kid to the pumpkin patch. Now,
Yeah.
why that was something that was stuck in my head, I don't know, but it was. And so that was something that I was thrilled to be able to do.
Yeah.
But there's just little things that grief gets you. And
Yeah.
so to be able to redeem those has been extra sweet. I think everything is extra sweet, honestly.
Absolutely. And I think not that you wouldn't have appreciated this 10 years ago, but I think being older even makes a difference.
Yes.
You know what I mean? As you get older, you appreciate more things about life. Things don't bother you as much as they did. And so, like I said, not that you wouldn't have loved and adored him when you first began. I think as we get older, I think your priorities change. They shift a little bit and you know what is most important. And I think about, my kids are grown, but I think about like what you just said. I don't have bottles to clean, but I'm thankful for my messy house. I'm thankful for, when we have people come over and we host a lot of holidays,
Yes.
it gets busy and I get tired and it's a lot of work, but I'm so thankful for all of it. I'm just thankful. So don't
Yes.
blink because he'll be married and out of your house before you know it.
Don't even say it. When we got rid of the bottles, I thought he doesn't even need me anymore. He's basically grown.
He's all grown up. Oh my goodness.
You make a great point, and I will say that was part of the heart journey of going through all of that. Is you're watching over 10 years is a long time.
Yeah.
And as you're watching everybody else have a baby and then another baby and then another baby, and they're all getting bigger, and you're thinking, I would love for my baby to grow up with these babies, and we're missing it. We're missing our time period. And so it just puts so much stress on you, which doesn't help what you're going through in the first place. And I thought, we're missing it. We're missing it. But there are pros and cons, I think, to being a younger mom. And I think there are pros and cons to being an older mom.
Absolutely.
And yes, I am thankful for all of that. And some of the sweetest gifts of this season have been watching my friends and family build relationships with our little one, because theirs are so much older, and so it's a different relationship than I thought it was going to be. But oh, it's sweet.
So sweet. That's wonderful.
And our friends are just, their kids are bigger, so they are loving on him all over again. And oh, this boy is just lavished in love.
That's so wonderful. Well, is there anything else you would want to share with anybody? Because I know a lot of people go through what you have been through. A lot of people have walked the road or walking the road or, getting ready to walk the road. Is there anything else you would share? Would you go back and do all the fertility things again if you had to do it over?
Yes, I probably would.
Yeah.
Because I just needed to know.
Yeah.
I think I would have always wondered if I hadn't tried. And I thought, I think most women desire to go through pregnancy and all of that. And I did want that. But now that I have him, I don't long for that. I thought, oh, well, I will always wish that I had been through that. And while I don't think that's an experience you could ever trade,
right,
all of that has been, I just keep using the word redeemed because I can't think of a better word.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
Yes.
So beautiful.
So, yeah, I would just say to be where you are in your journey, and be intentional about, if you're in the grief part, then be in the grief part and use that time to draw near to the Lord. So many times I felt like I had been forgotten or unseen. You just feel like the life is passing you by, and you're just sitting there, and you feel like you're clinging to the word, and yet it just feels unanswered, and
Yeah.
it's not. So
Right.
when I look back on those valleys in my life, I can see the sweetness of clinging to the Lord in a way, in a way, feeling of desperation in a way that you don't necessarily feel on the mountaintops. But I will also say, don't forget to praise him on the mountaintops, that
Yeah.
he wants to be with you in the valley, and he wants to be with you on the mountains. And
Yeah.
so sometimes I think it's easy to forget to bring him with you on the mountain.
Right. Right.
And he wants to be there too. So we
Absolutely.
are trying to make sure that we are praising him and shouting it and telling the story of how he brought us together. I don't believe that somebody else went through pain for my joy. I don't believe that at all. But
Right.
I do believe that he has taken beauty from ashes from all of these stories,
Right.
from mine and from ours and from Jude's, and brought us together in a way that's beautiful.
Yeah. It is beautiful. I love it. I love it. And I'm so, so excited for you. You have always had such a beautiful heart. And
Thank you.
so, you talked about people who would say things that were well meaning, and there's nothing you can say. And that's what,
No.
I think we forget when we want to help, we want to comfort, we want to do something. There's nothing really you can say to make the situation any better. But it's heartbreaking for anyone to watch anyone go through that and not be able to have a baby. But when it's somebody that you know and somebody that you love, your heart breaks. Like,
Mhm.
why not? Why do
Mhm.
they have to go through this? Why does it have to be so hard for them?
In
But
any season that they come, it is
it is a
sweet.
blessing. Yes,
It
it is.
is in any season, whether it is unexpected and a little early,
Yeah, a lot early.
or or what you feel like is late.
Right.
It's
You said
still a sweet.
you would never recommend anybody getting married, nor would I. It worked. I'm thankful, God's grace, we are still
Yes,
here, but it's not the norm, and I would never encourage or recommend any of that. So
right, right.
anyway, well, thank you for sharing your story with me. It's going to air on Christmas Day, which I think is just
Yay.
perfect because, man, what a precious gift that little boy is.
Yes, yes.
Precious
His little
gift.
life is a miracle.
So sweet, as are
Yes.
you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your story with me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope it blesses somebody, encourages somebody. You just feel so alone on
Yeah,
that type of journey. And some people are very loud about it, and that's how they deal with it, and that works too. But
right.
we were just quiet about it. But however you deal with it is okay.
That's
But be
right.
in the moment that you're in, and then plan for the next step. Get
Yeah,
out of that moment.
yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
waller there, even when
Yeah.
it's hard.
I had a lady at church and recently, I think it was Mother's Day, and she lost her daughter last year. And she said, grief is kind of like being in a dark room. And she said, and someone just comes up and punches you that you never see. You don't know where they are, but all of a sudden you get hit. She said, you just never know how it's going to
Yep.
hit you and how it's going to affect you.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Stinks. But
It
I,
does
I
make
love what
sense.
you said about being in that moment and dealing with it and then, moving on, not suppressing it, not casting it off and pretending like it's not a big deal. You got to deal with it.
Validate it.
Yeah,
Hmm.
for
We
sure.
I pushed it off for a long time, and I think that was what was part of. So I just thought, oh, everything's fine. Everything's fine. It's gonna be fine. I need to act
Yeah,
like everything's fine. Because there was nothing visible, and all of the miscarriages were early, so it's not like we had announced anything.
right.
Um, but it was legit. And at some point you have to deal with it
Yeah,
to move forward.
for sure. Well, this is going to be a blessing, I know, to many, and I'm excited to share it. So, and I was excited to hear it. I was.
Yeah. Well, I'm totally honored that you asked and wanted to hear it.
Of course. Yeah. Tell your mom I said hi.
I will. We'll look forward to seeing you hopefully sometime soon.
Yes. All righty. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.